It is a pleasure to have with us the Honorable William Thornberry and his wife Sally, U.S. Representative from the great state of Texas. Sir, thank you. We are pleased to have with us tonight the Honorable David P. Rowe and his wife Clorinda Jean, U.S. Representative from the great state of Tennessee. Sir. It is a pleasure to have with us tonight the Honorable Bradley Byrne and his wife Rebecca, U.S. Representative from the great state of Alabama. We're pleased to have with us tonight the Honorable James Hill and his wife Martha, U.S. Representative from the great state of Arkansas. Welcome, sir. We're pleased to have with us tonight the Honorable Rudolph De Leon and his wife Ann, former Deputy Secretary of Defense. Sir, welcome. It is always a pleasure to have with us the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joe Dunford, and his wife Ellen. Sir, welcome back. We're very honored to have with us tonight Mr. James McStravick and his wife Erin, Acting Under Secretary of Defense for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics. Sir, welcome. We're pleased to have with us tonight the Honorable Robert Karam, Acting Undersecretary for Policy and Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs. Sir, welcome. We're pleased to have with us tonight the Honorable David Norquist and his wife Stephanie, Undersecretary of Defense Comptroller and Chief Financial Officer. Sir, welcome. We're honored to have General Paul Selva and his wife Ricky, Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Welcome. And last but never least, we're honored to have General Mark Milley and his wife Holly Ann, Chief of Staff of the Army. Welcome, sir. Semper Fi, sir. And now it is my honor to introduce our hosting official for tonight. He's the 37th Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Robert B. Neller.
Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. The parade you're going to see it'll be, the narrator will say it's pretty much like most military parades. The only difference is the Marines that are going to perform in March are here in a ceremonial position, and they do other things, but they're infantry Marines and they're detailed here to do these parades. And I think they'll be impressed, along with our marching units and the musical units. So, like the band's been up here, the folks have been playing for you. And I'd just like to take a minute. Receptions and events like this just don't happen. All the Marines you saw that helped you park your car or guided you around are going to take you to your seats, that are setting up the chairs at 5 o'clock this morning, that prepared all the food. They're all Marines that are assigned here at the barracks, and they do a great job, and I just ask you to join me in a round of applause. Thank you. The Marines that are here, and you're going to see in the ceremony, represent 185,000 active duty Marines deployed in almost 40 countries around the world. There's three kinds of Marines today. Those that are forward deployed, where we would all rather be, not that we don't want to be here with you, but those that just got back and those that are getting ready to go. And so we're really proud to, like all the services here, to be part of the Department of Defense and represent our nation, particularly here as we celebrate the 4th of July, when we declared our independence and freedom from a foreign power. And it's our honor and privilege to try to protect those rights and make sure that that freedom that we have is never taken for granted and never taken from us. Our guest of honor, it's always interesting when you go to events. So I've got the Secretary of Defense, the Honorable James Mattis, I got the Chairman. If John Kelly were here, I'd be the 4th pick from Albany State. But not to say that our guest of honor doesn't need an introduction, but I don't think there's a Marine on this planet that served today or has served for the last 40 years who doesn't know about our Secretary of Defense, former Marine General James Mattis. I've had the honor and privilege of serving with the Secretary now for the third time. Once as our MAR-4 commander when we were in Iraq. Second, I was his MAR-CENT commander when he was the commander of Central Command, and now as the service chief for him as Secretary of Defense. And there's a lot of stuff that's written about him, some of it true, some of it not true, but I would simply say this: I have never served with anybody who tried so hard to create conditions where this nation did not have to go to war. But at the same time, I've never seen anybody work harder to ensure that if we did go to war, that we're going to go kick their ass. I know there's a chaplain or two here, so get over it. But the Marines here are very excited. We're very excited. I know you're all excited that our guest of honor tonight is the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America, the Honorable James Mattis.
Thank you, Commandant, and thank all of you for being here, although it's such a pleasure. You probably don't need thanks for coming out to this beautiful ceremony. Believe it or not, the first time I saw this parade was in July of 1969. 48 years ago, we were sitting down there. I was 18 years old, down at the far end. I was an officer candidate. We were all bussed up here, told to sit down, shut up, and which we did. And it's proof, because the parade has not changed one iota, that the Marine Corps has over 200 years of tradition unhampered by progress. But I would say so proudly, because the kind of things that make this America what it is not only its power of inspiration, but its willingness to defend itself in an awesome manner. And I remember a young corporal got out in front of us before the parade. He had a purple medal on. They were all Vietnam veterans in those days. It was a Purple Heart. And he told us, for you all, he said, the only reason you exist is to fight, and fight well, and protect this country. And it was interesting, he went on to say, and if you can't do small things perfectly, you can't do the big things even halfway good enough. So you're going to watch people committed to excellence. And as they march by tonight, you look in their eyes and you see this unapologetic pride in who they are, and an absolute willingness to go into harm's way. Remember, these are all volunteers who looked past the hot political rhetoric of the day and rallied to the flag, and then they volunteered for a second thing, and that was the infantry, where we take 85% of our casualties. And these young men are not naive. They've seen war on TV their whole life growing up when you look back over their years. So it's with great pride that I return to the barracks. I once hosted here, I think it was 12 years ago this day, as a matter of fact, a parade for John Glenn, Colonel John Glenn. And I was floored by it. My boss, Rudy De Leon, who was here tonight, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, when I worked for him, had introduced us. And John Glenn and I were standing over in the shadows after everyone was getting seated and getting ready to do our thing. And John Glenn was musing about how he'd been a Marine for 23 years. And think about it, he was a Marine fighter pilot in World War II in Korea, an ace, the first Marine to, or the first American to orbit the Earth, a senator. And he said, you know, 23 years, it wasn't long enough. And I recalled that his wingman in Korea was Ted Williams. And Ted Williams was once asked, you know, by Sports Illustrated years after he'd retired, you know, which team that you were on was the best team ever? He said, oh, that's easy, the U.S. Marine Corps. That's from Ted Williams. And I bring that up because it shows the continuity of what's passed on from one Marine to another. So it's not a night for long speeches. I'm honored to be here, Commandant, Colonel. Thank you for having me here. And let's have a great evening together and remind ourselves how fortunate we are to be in this country. And Pam Hest, you're out in the audience, a reporter with the guts to go into Fallujah with the Marines. Thank you wherever you're at, Pam. And let's have a great evening. Happy 4th of July.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's about parade time, so I would ask that you finish whatever you have in your hands and make your way towards the parade deck. We've got hosters ready to take you to your seats. Please have a great evening. Semper Fidelis.